The Select Committee on January 6th is moving forward in high gear, issuing 11 new subpoenas just last night to those involved in planning, promoting, and financing the rallies that precipitated the siege on the Capitol, including the so-called Stop the Steal rally at the Ellipse. Now, you may not have heard of these people, but their depositions are a crucial step toward untangling the web of connections and communications that set the stage for the insurrection. Among them is Cindy Shaffian, who submitted the original permit application for the rally. She's closely allied with extremist radio host Alex Jones, and she openly praised the right-wing militias that would later lead the attack on the Capitol. Then there's Maggie Mulvaney, a niece of Trump's former chief of staff, who served as the VIP lead of the rally. Mulvaney is also a current House staffer, according to Politico, which notes that the House has rarely turned its subpoena power on its own. Then there's Katrina Pearson, who reportedly had an in-person meeting with Donald Trump 2 days before the insurrection. In fact, she was reportedly assigned to the White House to, quote, take charge of the rally planning. That's according to ProPublica, which reported in June that Pearson helped arrange a deal where those organizers deemed too extreme to speak at the Ellipse could do so on the day before, on January 5th. In other words, the White House knew extremists would be descending on Washington. They knew it was a powder keg just waiting to explode, and Donald Trump still lit the fuse. Among the extremists who spoke on January 5th was a member of the paramilitary group the Three Percenters, as well as far right-wing activist Ali Alexander, who later implicated 3 Republican lawmakers in the events of the next day. This comes amid new signs that the Select Committee means business. They've already previewed the possibility of holding resistant witnesses in contempt, noting that the Biden Justice Department is not likely to stand in the way. And Congressman Adam Schiff signaled this morning that there may be more subpoenas to come, indicating that House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy would also be a pertinent witness. And Congressman Adam Schiff of California joins me now. Congressman, let's go right to that, because the idea that you have a current Republican House staffer that is on the list already, that feels like the door is now open. Should we be expecting to see names on that list that are more recognizable and that are members of Congress, up to and potentially including the House Minority Leader?
We haven't made any decisions yet on particular members of Congress. But one thing we have been very clear about it, and that is no one is off limits. We want to get to the bottom of all the facts, what led up to that insurrection, what planning went into it, who was organizing the rally, what expectation they had about potential violence or planned violence that day. And if they're members of Congress, and I think there are, that have relevant information about the planning of that day, that were on the phone with the president during that day, that can shed light on what the president knew, when he knew it, what others in the White House were doing, why the military response was so slow in coming. We want answers to all those questions. So people ought to understand whether they're in Congress or out of Congress. If they have relevant information, we're going to want it.
What's frightening here is how the connections between some of these extremist groups and the White House appear to be playing out, just in the order of the subpoenas that are coming out. This is this woman, Cindy Shaffian. She openly praised these militias, some of whom later were involved in the insurrection. She stood on January 5th at this pre-rally that was where the extremists were. Thank you, Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, the Three Percenters. All of those guys keep you safe. There's also ProPublica reporting that one of the organizers of the rallies told ProPublica that his group felt the need to urgently warn the White House of possible danger. It remains unclear precisely what the White House officials learned about safety concerns about the march and whether they took those reports seriously. The indication here that at least some people who were planning these rallies leading up to January 6th understood that there were going to be violent people around, and they seem to have done nothing, if not encouraging those people to still show up. Is that the sense that you have?
Well, this is exactly what we need to flesh out. And, you know, for those who say, don't we know what happened on January 6th? There are so many unanswered questions. What did we know? What did the planners know? What did the president know about who was showing up? And was it part of the plan that if they couldn't get the vice president to violate the Constitution and decertify the results from this state or that they were prepared to use violence? Was that part of the plan? What was the president's thinking? What was the president advised about who was showing up? And so these are among the most central questions to this inquiry. And these folks that were involved in the planning of the rally, they have pertinent information to share, and we are going to expect their cooperation, and we're going to insist on their testimony one way or another.
And you mentioned the former president. I mean, this is somebody who said, we're going to go down, I'll walk with you, and we're hopefully going to see the vice president, Mike Pence, be brave. We hope he will be. We hope these congresspeople will be. In retrospect, that all sounds very threatening. He seems to be an obvious person that the commission might want to hear from. Is that in the plans?
Well, I don't want to get ahead of where our committee or our chairman are. But you raise a very important point, which is the president, of course, said that he was going to go with these marchers descending on the Capitol and didn't. So why did he tell the crowd he was, and why did he decide not to? Was the president aware of what was going to happen when they got to the Capitol? These are really pivotal questions at the heart of all of this. And we're going to be calling in anyone who has relevant information. And look, we expect to get a fight on some of this. The president is already gearing up for a fight. But the fact that we're going straight to subpoenas with some of these witnesses show you that we're not messing around here. We're not going to allow ourselves to be endlessly played rope-a-dope with in the court. We need to get answers, and we need to get them fast.
And how hard are you guys willing to go in terms of enforcing these subpoenas? We know that the Trump administration's officials routinely batted away subpoenas and pretended that they didn't have to comply with them. Now that they are no longer in charge of the Justice Department, do you expect these subpoenas to be enforced by the DOJ? And if so, how?
That is certainly my expectation, and I hope I will not be disappointed in that expectation. The mechanism is, if we subpoena people and they don't show up or they refuse to cooperate, we can hold them in contempt, and we can make a referral for a criminal contempt charge against those who are flouting the law. And then it will be up to the Attorney General. Now, we didn't have that option during the last 4 years when we had people like Bill Barr, who essentially would do anything the former president wanted, no matter how corrupt, up until the very end, apparently. So given that he was one of the people in contempt of Congress, it wasn't viable to go to him to enforce a subpoena. It's obviously a very different situation now, and we will hope and count on the Biden Justice Department and the new Attorney General to enforce the rule of law.
As somebody who does not feel that I know very much about what happened on January 6th, I feel there is so much more to learn. I thank you all for this inquiry. We will be watching and paying very close attention. Congressman Adam Schiff, thank you very much, sir. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.